Is there a truce that is planned between President William Ruto and the ODM leader Raila Odinga? Of course, that's the big question in the minds of Kenyans. Obviously, today, after the revelation by the Azimio leader that there's been one president who has tried to mediate in the crisis, and the Honorable Prime Minister says he's ready for a conversation with the president. That is coming up in our bulletin tonight, as well as what has been happening across the country. Welcome to the broadcast. Probably before we continue, Marie Yambo is on the other side of the studio. Remember, today is the day of scorecard. Marie, what is on cards today?
Well, Kioria, how are you?
I'm very well.
Well, on the scorecard tonight, we actually will be delving into the issue of devolution. Remember, it's just about 10 years since the promulgation of the 2020 Constitution that also ushered in the devolved system of governance. So today we want to kind of interrogate, has it worked? So the question we're asking our viewers tonight is, has devolution worked for you? So that is a question we'll be asking you tonight, and we're hoping that you can interact with us and we'll be able to sample some of your views within the program. So, I'm sorry, not O'Brien, Kioria, that is what we'll be talking about today.
Absolutely, the 10 years of devolution, taking stock of whether that system of government has worked. And of course, you can respond to the question asked by Marie through our socials. First things first, here are tonight's highlights.
I always say that we are open to dialogue, and we set up a team to carry out negotiations.
Azimio leader Raila Odinga says he's open to hold talks with President Ruto over high cost of living. Jump-starting bipartisan talks. Kenya Kwanza in yet another attempt to have Azimio counterparts back at the negotiating table. And generic or original drugs. A parliamentary committee told how unscrupulous NHIF accredited hospitals are stealing from you. Byron Abuli is a sign language interpreter. Tonight, my name is John Jacob Kioria. You're welcome to this broadcast. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga says he has been ready for dialogue with President William Ruto to find a solution to the issues affecting Kenyans. He urged the government to ease the burden on Kenyans and curb police brutality on demonstrators.
Addressing the International Press Association of East Africa, opposition leader Raila Odinga said his efforts to dialogue with the government on the high cost of living and audit of the 2022 general elections have not yielded much.
In light of the information that came to light from the whistleblower, so we said in order to settle the anxiety among the people of Kenya, let us do a professional audit, forensic audit of the server in the last elections.
Raila acknowledged that high cost of living was not peculiar to Kenya, but said the government can alleviate the burden. The opposition leader also criticized police for using excessive force on those taking part in their protest against the high cost of living.
We are witnessing unprecedented police brutality. We are also witnessing an unprecedented phenomenon of the state resorting to armed militia to quell protests. You have visited hospitals and morgues, and you have established that police and hired gangs have shot and killed or wounded scores of people at close range.
The opposition's planned protest on Wednesday will instead be replaced by solidarity parades across the country in remembrance of those who died or were injured during the protest.
That's the reason why we called off tomorrow's Maandamano, so that people can keep vigil and also pray. We are also going to launch a fund to help those families who have lost their relatives.
But in a press statement, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kioria Kindiki said the National Police Service and other national security organs remain neutral and professional and shall not be drawn into political, ethnic or such other sectarian nuances whatsoever. He added that the masterminds of the widespread violence experienced during the protest, including those behind the consignments of money and weapons that were intercepted on their way to harm the public, will soon be held accountable. John Kahiro, Prime Edition.
In a related story, the Kenya Kwanza bipartisan talks team has extended an invitation to their Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition counterparts to consider returning to the negotiating table. Through the talks chair George Murugara, who of course co-chairs the committee, the Kenya Kwanza lawmakers said they're ready for resumption of talks aimed at brokering a truce between the government and the opposition.
The Kenya Kwanza Alliance members of the Joint Bipartisan Talks Committee on Tuesday reached out to their counterparts from the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition to give dialogue another chance.
We have been more than ready to engage in talks, but it's fortunate that there has been no dissolution. There was only a suspension, and we are back.
However, the Kenya Kwanza team, led by George Murugara, who is the Bipartisan Talks Committee co-chair, maintains negotiations must remain within the legal framework.
All talks must be conducted within the parameters of the law. There is nothing extrajudicial, extrajuridical, extra-legal that we are going to do.
The bipartisan talks aimed at resolving differences between the government and the opposition, aborted 7 weeks ago.
The issue of IBC remains the most important issue on the agenda.
At that time, the Kenya Kwanza team accused the opposition counterparts led by co-chair Otiende Amolo of boycotting the discussions. However, Azimio leader Raila Odinga now says it is Kenya Kwanza who abandoned ship.
We have said ourselves that we don't want they have the loaf. Those are times I talk about Nusumukati. We don't want any part in this government. We say that very clearly. But we say that people who voted for Azimio are Kenyans. They are entitled to opportunities in the country.
Among demands by Azimio is the reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IBC. It is now wait and see whether the opposition will heed calls to resume negotiations or not. Giverson Minor, Prime Edition.
The government will conduct a major security operation at the Kamologon forest to flush out bandits and other criminals who have for years terrorized residents. For ease of effective communication and prompt response by law enforcement agencies, the government is constructing the Tangul Kalamogon Karen Road, also known as Amani Road, which links Elgeyo Marakwet and West Pokot counties. Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki who visited the area, maintains the government will not relent in its resolve to flush out bandits completely.
Kamologon Forest has for years been a hideout for bandits. Now the government has moved in to rid the area of criminals. Construction of Tangul Kalamogon Karen Road, which links Elgeyo Marakwet and West Pokot counties, is underway. Once complete, it will facilitate swift response from the law enforcers.
Siku ya mateso imeisha. Serikali hii ambayo imeongozwa na Mheshimiwa Rais William Ruto imeamua ndio itakuwa serikali ya kumaliza kutoka Kenya hii shida na aibu ya uhalifu na kutojali sheria.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki says criminals will be pursued individually and no one will be victimized.
Hii ni mambo ya uhalifu, hakuna ukabila uko hapa. The officers, both from the National Police Service, the National Police Reservice, and the Kenya Defence Forces are pursuing criminals, and they are not harassing the general public.
The Cabinet Secretary was addressing a security baraza at Kalia Market at the intersection of Elgeyo Marakwet and West Pokot counties. He commended Governors Wesley Rotich and Simon Kachapin for spearheading peace-building efforts and investing in social-economic programs that enhance harmonious coexistence between communities. Here's Afar reporting for Prime Edition.
Ambassadors and their deputies abroad have been tasked to mainly work on promoting the country's business profile in their jurisdiction. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says the ambassadors will soon sign a 2-year memorandum of understanding committing to market the nation's leading produce and submit monthly reports on the same. Tilio Marco has that report.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on Monday evening met Kenyans living in Italy at a hotel in Rome. It's here that he said the main role of the envoys will henceforth be to market Kenya and ensure the country's business profile improves globally, in addition to other diplomatic duties.
All these ambassadors are going to market Kenyan produce and discuss with the host country, with the business community, and get the best deal for our products.
The DP say the government representatives would be expected to submit monthly reports showing who they have met to market Kenyan products and what deals they have entered into.
At the level of the ambassador, and they'll be able to tell us every month. They will file a return to the PS, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with a copy to my office and that of the President, telling us, I attended this meeting with this group to market avocado. On 4th, I was with Sue to market this, and these are the results.
Gachagua also challenged the Kenyans in Italy to work closely with the State Department for Diaspora Affairs, saying the government is looking into how to safeguard their investments in Kenya in a bid to encourage more remittances. Tilio Marco for Prime Edition.
I think that obviously should be a performance contracting other than an MOU. Now, there's some shocking details that you need to listen to here. It has emerged that some hospitals providing services under the National Health Insurance Fund, NHIF, might be charging Kenyans exorbitant amounts of money for medicine. Appearing before the National Assembly Health Committee, a witness working in a pharmaceutical company revealed that a number of hospitals are dispensing generic drugs sold at the cost of original medicine, hence making a killing.
The National Assembly Departmental Committee on Health commenced a 90-day public inquiry into the alleged fraudulent payment of medical claims and capitation payments to health facilities by the National Health Insurance Fund.
And you can't confuse these members. These members are learned. They know what they are looking for.
The committee members put in the NHIF Acting Chief Executive Officer Dr. Samson Kuhora to task to explain operations and the reduction of 7 billion shillings in investment capital between 2021 and 2023.
We must see the relationship between the liquidation and your collections, because we want to see why was it necessary for us to liquidate 7 billion between 2021 and 2023.
There is a significant rise in the aging debt. Actually, most of it, out of the 13.1 billion that is owed, 11.2 was incurred last financial year. So that's one of the reasons why a good bit of that amount in short-term investments ended up being liquidated to pay for the claims.
However, submissions by the chairman of the Kenya Pharmaceutical Distributors Association, Dr. Kamamia Moricho, on exorbitant charges for medication by some service providers raised more questions than answers.
Hospitals, apart from now, dispensing a generic and then claiming for the originator molecule, is that they charge some of the molecules 500 to 1,000 times higher. For example, I've seen cases whereby a simple product such as secnidazole, which retails at 50 shillings at the chemist level, we are going to say that the same. The service providers are claiming for the same at 500 shillings for NHIF. We have some simple molecules, which I'm going to mention, such as some of the 4 molecules. We are going to say that we sell those products at the wholesale price at about 200 shillings. But the service provider, to the NHIF, they are going to be claiming 16,000 to 20,000 shillings.
Do we have somebody who actually goes through what NHIF is being charged for in terms of medication to know that if we are charging for a drug it is safety action and not a generic form of it.
In relation to the 8 health facilities under investigation for involvement in fraud, 2 have been conclusively investigated and found culpable. The committee will continue with its hearings on Tuesday next week. Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Quite telling the kind of dirt that has beleaguered health facilities. We're talking about the NHIF. KEMSA also appears to be caught in some of its scandals, something that needs to be looked at. We're taking a short breather. When we come back, we have more news lined up for you, including business and sports.
Herbal is formulated from a unique blend of natural herbs and is scientifically proven to strengthen teeth and keep gums healthy. Try Colgate Herbal, scientifically proven for strong teeth and healthy gums.
No member of this family should be working for this company now. And who else to trust if not family? Are you one of Joel's sons?
I need you to keep a close eye on Nick. I don't trust him fully.
He's nothing close to the truth.
Nick, baby, you've never been so big on character. What's changed?
Can I talk to you in private?
Yeah.
You cannot protect us all the time.
None of you can afford to be caught up in this mess.
I can wash my hands and let you handle this mess by yourself with Akina Jazz and away your teeth.
There's someone trying to bring us down. Us?
Why do you think I'm here, Nick?
Alice stole our data and document.
Do you have any proof of that?
You're working on it.
This is a matter of life and death.
The only thing that I know is that you are full of lies. But you are not going to fool me again. And don't you even think that you're going to come out of this one alive. Where are you? Tell me. You should at least face me, you darn woman.
Don't you look at me like that, Karina. I know that you're expecting Rodrigo's baby.
I want us to take advantage so that we can fix a pending issue that we've had for many years. Our divorce.
Well, you can forget about it. I'm not signing it.
Las bandidas.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition. Before we continue with our news, a quite interesting tweet here from the President, and I think in response to the allegations made by the Honorable Raila Odinga today. And the President says, "My friend Raila Odinga, I'm off to Tanzania for a human capital meeting to harmonize the expansion of employment opportunities in our continent. I'm back tomorrow evening, and as you have always known, I'm available to meet one-on-one with you anytime at your convenience." And he signs out as WSR. That is, of course, to mean William Samoei Ruto. That is, I'm off to Tanzania for a human capital meeting to harmonize the expansion of employment opportunities in our continent. I'm back tomorrow evening, and as you have always known, I'm available to meet one-on-one with you anytime at your convenience. Like I said, it appears like we'll have a truce at some point. But let's move this forward. First Lady Mama Rachel Ruto has announced plans to organize 4 national music conferences and conduct 47 county music talent forums over the next 4 years through the Talent Expression Directorate of Mama Doing Good initiative. The First Lady congratulated the Music Copyright Society of Kenya on the steps taken to make the music industry a significant contributor to the economy, as well as addressing the needs of music legends' needs through the MCSK Foundation. She spoke at State House, Nairobi, when she met 36 Kenyan gospel music legends. The Music Copyright Society of Kenya Chief Executive Officer Dr. Ezekiel Mutua lauded the recognition of Kenya's music industry players who have laid the foundation for authenticity and continue to inspire hope.
We look forward to enriching the music ecosystem with the private sector and government stakeholders. Your experiences over time will offer valuable mentorship to young generations of musicians and build a repository for the growth of our music industry.
We are estimating, Your Excellency, that with the implementation of the blank tape levy, we'll be able to raise 6 billion minimum per year, 6 billion. We are not employing anybody. It is tax. The engine has already been identified by the government. Now we are testing and we are rolling out in the next 2 weeks.
Kilifi County's ad hoc committee investigating the Shakahola killings says the Verst Chakama Ranch could have been used to dump other victims of murder besides followers of a cult leader Paul Mackenzie. This follows the discovery of 3 recently buried bodies in the 4th phase of exhumation of bodies from the ranch, raising queries as to whether all the 425 bodies recovered so far were Mackenzie's followers. Abdiaziz Hashim reports.
The probe into the Shakahola killings continued Tuesday with members of Kilifi County Assembly presenting to the Senate Ad Hoc Committee 18 factors that could have led to the deaths of over 400 people in the 50,000-acre Chakama ranch.
There was also abuse of freedom of worship as from the Article 32 of our Constitution.
They cited poor supervision of land usage, laxity on the part of local enforcers, vulnerability and desperation among the populace, lack of a regulatory framework on religious activities, and failure by the prosecution to present a strong case before the judiciary on occasions the cult leader Paul Mackenzie was brought in court. The MCAs, led by their chair Karisangirani, said the 3 fresh bodies found 3 days ago way into the probe indicate that the ranch could have been a dumping ground for victims of murders committed elsewhere.
These are fresh people who have succumbed either deliberately by denying themselves of the bumper harvest that we're experiencing or intentionally being strangled not to partake of what is coming in the near future. We are also unable to establish why intelligence agencies failed until it became a national disaster. We were also unable to know whether all bodies exhumed were followers of Mackenzie or maybe they died somewhere else and maybe the Shakahola forest was used as a dumping site.
The ward representatives have further proposed to build a memorial park in the forest in remembrance of those who died there.
We need a memorial park at Shakahola, not only for the display of the names or the victims, but also burial of the exhumed bodies that maybe we didn't find the owners.
And it will be a reminder to the entire Kenya nation that radicalization can happen in religion.
So far, 37 people are in police custody over the killings linked to Mackenzie. Coast Regional Coordinator Rhoda Onyancha said the exhumation exercise will resume when the pathologists complete autopsies on 87 bodies exhumed in the 4th phase of the operation. Abdiaziz Hashim for Prime Edition.
Now, details are emerging that the late Sharon Otieno received threatening text messages from strange numbers warning her to keep away from my husband. During the 6th day of witness testifying when Ezekiel Eddy, a forensic investigator with the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, took to the stand at Mlimani Law Court, the late Sharon Otieno was found murdered in Kodera Forest, Homa Bay County in September 2018.
Contained herein is relevant to the matter.
As the trial of former Migori Governor Okoth Obado and 2 others in the murder of Rongo University student Sharon Otieno continued Tuesday, an investigation agent has told the court of the early warning signs to the late.
We shall one day come face to face. Full stop. Action plan begins. You won't escape.
Ezekiel Ade, a forensic investigator with the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, told Justice Cecilia Githua that the messages came from the same phone number.
Even if a man has never stuck in new, prepare for it. Just do your worst. But Rem, there is judgment day.
While cross-examining the witnesses, the lead defense counsel Kioko Kilukumi, representing Obado, tasked the investigator to explain why he did not know the person who sent the warning messages.
According to the analytics, some information, not all information that was extracted from the gadgets was represented.
The case continues Thursday, where prosecution has lined up 5 witnesses. Elsewhere, former Mungiki leader Maina Njenga, his brother Peter Njoroge and aide Felix Lakishe have been freed on 100,000 cash bail or 200,000 bond. While freeing Njenga and his co-accused Makadara Chief Magistrate Francis Kiambia say the state did not have compelling reasons to have them detained pending trial. And Senior Principal Magistrate Esther Kimil has directed the officer commanding Industrial Area Police Station to release the mobile phones of Embakasi East MP Babu Owino and 6 co-accused persons once done with forensic investigation.
First accused mobile phone to be released to him before close of business. Summons to issue to OCS Industrial Area.
During a mention of the case where the 7 are accused of conspiracy to commit subversive activities, the magistrate directed the second accused, Calvin Gaucho, to file his complaint of assault in any police station within Kilimani area. Ruth Wamboi for Prime Edition.
Let's rush to the chambers of parliament. Opposition members of parliament want the Attorney General, Justin Muturi, summoned to explain why the government has disregarded the recent court ruling barring the implementation of the Finance Act 2023. Leader of a minority party in the National Assembly, Opiyo Wandayi, during debate to consider value-added tax on the digital marketplace supply regulations 2023, raised concerns over what he termed as government reneging on its pledge to uphold the rule of law. However, MPs allied to the ruling, Kenya Kwanza, termed the move to summon the Attorney General as subterfuge, as the matter is still in court.
Express court orders, which suspended the operationalization of the Finance Act 2023. It is indeed a very sad day that we could be here sitting and talking normally, as if things are normal. What message are we sending to the people? What message are we sending to the international community? What message are we sending to possible future investors in this country? If a whole government can blatantly disregard an express court order, by now I would have expected the Honorable Kimani Chungwa, my good friend, to invite the Attorney General here to explain to the Kenyan people through their representatives in this House why the government has refused to obey an express court order which has suspended the operationalization of the Finance Act 2023.
That it is not fair to mislead the country that there is outright disregard of whatever court orders, because he knows that IPRA, that is in charge of regulating fuel prices, did give notice way before the court order was issued. And therefore, he cannot be prosecuting a new case now. And since Otiendo Amolo is here and is appearing in court very soon, I'm sure they know how to transact that business in court, but we should not use this opportunity to mislead the country that indeed the Attorney General has in any way refused to adhere to any court orders.
Still in the National Assembly, the Budget and Appropriations Committee has approved the publication of a legislative proposal seeking to change the operations of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, SRC, to part-time basis. If passed by Parliament, the SRC amendment bill, sponsored by Kiminini Member of Parliament Ditmas Baraza, will reduce the budget expenditure of the Lynn Mengich-led commission by over 700 million shillings.
Has commenced restructuring of constitutional commissions with the name of reducing the expenditure and saving taxpayers' money. The National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee endorsed the publication of Salaries and Remuneration Commission Amendment Bill 2023, which, if adopted by Parliament, will limit the sitting of SRC commissioners to 15 sittings per year and operate on part-time basis.
I wish we can go this way as Parliament. We look at the commissions, we check the board memberships, we look at our parastatals, which ones are doing more or less the same job. We merge them, we discard many more, so that we can have a lean government that is more efficient in terms of service provision.
The bill's sponsor, Didmas Barasa, argues the main scope of work of SRC can be executed by the Secretariat that sits on full-time basis.
For example, today, what will they be doing in the office? Tomorrow, up to Friday, what will they be doing in the office? They have already done the policy directions for their individual commissions, that this is how the commission will conduct his or her affairs. So once you've done it, what are you reviewing?
Article 250 of the Constitution provides that each of the 10 commissions must have a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 9 members. The Salaries and Remuneration Commission, however, have 14 members who sit on full-time basis.
They spend more than 800 million as benefits and the remuneration in their current as currently constituted. But if you go my way, that they will be sitting on part-time, then it will only cost Kenya per year 8 million. 8 million. So we are actually saving more than 700 million. This only for SRC alone.
The Keminini MP and the Budget Committee are in agreement a review of operations of the Constitution Commissions is necessary. The endorsement of SRC Amendment Bill 2023 by the Budget and Appropriations Committee now sets the stage for members of the National Assembly to debate on whether to review the operations of SRC as well as other constitutional commissions. Vishoki Washira, Prime Edition.
Cheza Loto Moto. Sasa unaweza jishindia instantly na Loto Moto. Dial star 570 hash. Wakati wowote, siku yoyote ya wiki na mahali popote. Dial star 570 hash. Kisha chagua moja kati ya games za Loto Moto. Weka stake zako 50 shillings, 300, 500, 2,000 shillings. The bigger your stake, the greater or the bigger your prizes. Cheza mara kadhaa na kumbuka, cheza responsibly. 18 years and above. Cheza Loto Moto.
In a Rastaman party, I love my girl to some reggae. I call her on the phone, tell her I'm drunk, not something true.
Well, good evening this wonderful Tuesday as we take a look at the latest in the world of business. My name is Wairi Mujenga. Now, Kenya plans to roll out over 200,000 electric motorcycles by the end of 2024. President Ruto says this will be achieved through a raft of proposals that will make Kenya an e-bikes hub. Speaking during a tour of Rome Park, an electric motorcycle assembly plant in Nairobi, the president has said the plan is to have more electric motorcycles on the road in a bid to ease mobility and curb air pollution.
Demand for electric motorcycles is on the rise as more Kenyans become more climate conscious. So far, Kenya is producing 2,000 motorcycles annually, with experts saying the country has the capacity to ramp up production to more than 1 million units in 5 years. The government has implemented various tax incentives to attract more assemblers in the country. The government has removed VAT tax on electric motorcycles in an attempt to suppress the cost of e-bikes.
Tumesema VAT kwa bodaboda ambayo inatumia stima tutaondoa 16% VAT ile iko juu yake.
Speaking during a tour of Rome Park, President William Ruto has said tariffs at electric motorcycle charging points are set to be reduced, as well as the removal of VAT tax on spare parts for batteries.
Spare parts zote ambazo zitakuja kutumika kutengeneza bodaboda, pia tunaondoa ushuru ya VAT.
The government will also reduce the cost of electricity at charging stations to ensure riders can maximize their profits and pay less to charge their bikes.
Na hata betri yenyewe pia tunaondoa ushuru. Ndio ukitaka kutengeneza hiyo betri Kenya iko bei ya chini.
Early this year, Rome, which is a Kenyan-Swedish maker of electric buses and motorcycles, announced plans to expand its production capacity to about 50,000 units annually. Parsai Frederick, Prime Edition.
Now, Kenya is banking on cutting-edge technology and research to transform the agriculture sector. The country is working with the research and financial institutions to modernize the sector to help Kenya attain food security. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has said the government will increase funding for research in institutions of higher learning in a bid to develop solutions to challenges facing the agriculture sector in Kenya, which contributes to almost 30% to Kenya's annual wealth.
Globally, agriculture technology incubation centers are fast becoming a platform for transforming scientific discoveries into products for economic development. In Kenya, institutions of higher learning are fast adapting the concept of incubation and research centers to increase innovation. Speaking during the launch of the Kioria Agricultural Technology and Innovation Center in Upper Kabete, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi says the collaboration with the industry is necessary to usher in a new dawn of prosperity in agricultural innovation.
Much as innovations such as ATIC will enhance the efforts in university financial sustainability, university managements have the responsibility to protect scarce resources by putting them to proper use. Recent reports about the financial resources of universities are not encouraging, and austerity measures are called for.
The Kioria Agricultural Technology and Innovation Center seeks to bridge this gap by opening space for all to access the most current developments.
This will serve as a hub. We shall create a hub and a spoke relationship with the continuous flow of information from the spoke to the hub and vice versa.
When I've been on this journey, I don't know where our paths crossed, but suddenly we seem to be walking in the same direction, Bwana VC, and I think it's wonderful that I found a kindred spirit in you, particularly with all your team as well. I know that
Once complete, the Kioria Agricultural Technology and Innovation Center will serve as a catalyst for food and nutrition security, create employment opportunities, and enhance an inclusive economic development. Reporting for Prime Edition from Nairobi, my name is Frederick Mwoki.
Now, Musoni Microfinance and Turaco Insurance have partnered to offer 1.2 million shillings as an extended loan compensation to toy market traders who suffered losses following a fire incident last month. Musoni Microfinance CEO Barbara Asumadu says the initiative is part of Farm's embedded credit-linked insurance aimed at cushioning traders as they rebuild their livelihoods.
Traders at toy market in Nairobi County were early last month left counting losses after fire razed down their stalls. Musoni Microfinance and Turako Insurance have rolled out an initiative aimed at cushioning traders at open air markets.
The money received goes to settle their loan liabilities with us, and then we take the next steps to help them rebuild. Okay. So they don't have to struggle to think about how they repay a loan in the face of the adversity that they have faced.
The credit-linked insurance cover seeks to shield customers by covering loan repayments in case they are hospitalized, lose property, or in the unfortunate event of a death, as well as offer risk management solutions.
Claims payment is one of the critical aspects, and it has been spoken a lot about the fact that insurance is an intangible product. So by paying claims, you're building trust and quashing the perception around insurance, where insurance traditionally has been viewed as a product that people can't trust. So whatever we've done here today in terms of the claims paying event is giving testament to the fact that insurance indeed pays, and that is what we're doing as Turako.
The safety net further allows business owners to focus on core business with the assurance of continuity no matter the changes in the business environment. Nduta Mokami for Prime Edition.
The government has instituted a raft of measures aimed at cushioning Kenyans against high wheat prices in the face of the grain deal standoff between Russia and Ukraine. Millers will now buy a 90-kilogram bag at 5,200 shillings, up from 3,700 shillings agreed in 2021 with the Ministry of Agriculture. Additionally, the government says millers will now be allowed to import an additional 2 million bags of wheat once they mop up all locally harvested wheat.
Last week, Russia shocked the world after it pulled out of the Black Sea grain deal with Ukraine. The deal allowed a safe passage of grain to the international market from war-stricken Ukraine. Experts say this is expected to hit developing countries like Kenya hardest due to a sharp spike in grain prices. To counter the expected shortage and price surge, the government has rolled out a raft of measures.
Then after they have mop up the local wheat production, we are going to allow them to import another 2 million bags.
A 90 kg bag of grade 1 wheat will retail at 5,200 shillings, while grade 2 will retail at 5,100 shillings.
A grade 1 wheat will go for 5,200 Kenyan shillings. Grade 2 of one bag of grade 2 wheat will go for 5,100 Kenyan shillings.
The PS further says maize flour prices are expected to reduce later this week.
And by Friday, we will expect a further decrease in the price of unga and also the price of maize.
This comes at a time when farmers are being encouraged to embrace technologies to reduce the cost of production.
Agriculture can contribute enormously to Kenya's economy, and that technology contributes.
Benson Ruba reporting for Prime Edition.
HR Motors Limited has lauded the review of the auto assembly regulations that has eased entry for new investors and products into the Kenyan market. HR Motors officials say the policy favoring purchase of locally assembled vehicles is supportive of the auto industry.
And we will bring only of products which are of relevance to Kenya, and also we will bring product where there is an unmet demand. And all of this product line is going to be assembled here locally in Kenya. So it's going to be Kenyan produce in that sense.
We will be starting the 14-seater Matatu local assembly, driver plus 14-seater with high roof. Hopefully in the next 2 months' time, we will start the local assembly of the same as well.
Thank you everyone. We can go back.
Now, 24 college and university students from Nairobi have qualified for the bootcamp and hackathon series that is meant to build capacity in the cybersecurity and data protection space. Cybersecurity Advocacy and Information Sharing Officer Jane Kenyanjui says with digital transformation and innovation, the risks of cyber attacks such as phishing, ransomware, zero-day attack, impersonation, and identity-based attack have risen exponentially hence the need to raise awareness and strengthen cybersecurity infrastructure.
Something we realized is that the gap is not in, as much as we are doing a lot with the professionals and we are doing something with the Wanjikos, there's also a need to develop an army of cyber-ready people who are going to protect our country. We are talking about a digital economy, we are talking about digital superhighway, a digitally transformed nation, and as we become more digitally transformed, as our theme goes, then there's the other side, the underbelly of digital transformation, and this is what we are seeing in increased cyber threats.
We've started from 6,000 students, boiled down now to even 30 students coming in to do, they did the self-paced learning, and then all the way to doing a physical learning, and then now we were able to now come down and award the top 3. So we are still going to go to different other regions.
Environmentalists are proposing that part of revenues raised by way of taxes levied on petroleum products should be used to fund climate-smart projects to boost food security. Frederick Kwame, Vice President AWF, says this would de-risk agriculture, ensure sustainable funding, and consequently reduce reliance on subsidies.
$133 billion is invested globally in nature every year by national governments, which is however not enough to counter the mounting pressures from competing uses for land.
Private investment in conservation needs to be scaled up through carbon markets and sustainable agricultural and forestry supply chains.
In Kenya, the estimated cost of implementing the adaptation plan stands at 6.8 trillion shillings for the 10-year period between the year 2020 and 2030. Data shows that in 2018, only a third, 243.3 billion shillings of the total finance required for climate change adaptation related investment was realized.
All these environmental risks will ultimately lead to traditional risks of banking. They will lead to credit risks for us. If our clients are affected, they can't pay back.
Environmentalists are calling for the creation of monetary and supervisory policies conducive for enhanced private sector participation.
They cannot develop these products in isolation. The science is needed. The communities are needed for these products to be developed.
AWF Vice President says there's need to direct climate funds to agriculture, forestry and land use, transport and water management, which are often underfunded.
Preservation of natural capital provides incredible yet untapped opportunities for businesses to diversify their earnings profiles.
Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Public procurement practitioners will now be required to undergo a postgraduate professional training before they start to practice. This is stipulated in the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Bill that also seeks to compel public agencies to only tender for products and services based on their budget.
Why do we have huge pending bills? It means there must be some ineffective laws governing the procurement process. So we are trying to cure inefficiency, ineffectiveness. We are trying to cure the issues of pending bills. We are also trying to cure the problem of sustainability. So it is possible for professionals who want to get well-aligned, well-trained to register virtually, to get training, and they are taught by highly qualified procurement professionals so that they can earn a diploma in public procurement. And this is whether you have a master's degree, whether you have a degree, whether you have a PhD, you will be required to go through that training, a diploma in public procurement with specific training, so that now you can be given a license to be a practitioner of procurement.
Following the approval by the National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee, the bills now proceed to the Parliament for the first, second and third reading before they are sent into law by the President if approved by Parliament. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition, Nairobi.
That story brings to a close business news for tonight. Daniel Wahome is on standby with the latest in the world of sports. My name is Weri Mujenga. Have a good night.
Colgate Herbal is formulated from a unique blend of natural herbs and is scientifically proven to strengthen teeth and keep gums healthy. Try Colgate Herbal, scientifically proven for strong teeth and healthy gums.
The stage is set for a showcase of global talent as Kenya hosts the World Rugby Under-20 Trophy for the second time from the 15th to 30th of July at the Nyayo National Stadium. This year's edition will see 8 teams battle over 4 match days for a place in the World Rugby Under-20 Championship in 2024. Catch the matches live on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Prime Edition Sport. Now, the Kenya Under-20 rugby team nicknamed Chipu registered their first victory after humbling Hong Kong, China 22-16 in the final Pool B clash of the World Rugby Under-20 Trophy Tournament played at the Nyayo National Stadium. And in another match played, Zimbabwe won their first World Rugby Under-20 Trophy match since 2012 after narrowly beating the United States 38-37. The matches were live on KBC Channel 1.
This is Kenya, who've got the red jerseys playing against Hong Kong.
2 tries from Mike Oduor proved decisive in helping the Kenyan team secure the first win in this year's tournament. Oduor's first try gave Kenya the lead after 5 minutes and was converted by fly half Edward Bugu, the first of 3 successive kicks for Chipu.
Easy. Try.
However, Hong Kong China fullback Dylan McCann reduced the deficit with a penalty 2 minutes later before Captain Taylor McNutt drove over the lock Gren Hui and opened the defense with a powerful carry.
As they keep the sport clean.
Successful. Another try from Oduor was converted by Patrick Wainaina to give Chipu 2 scores clear, but McCann set up a tense final quarter when he struck with 57-minute penalty. Kenya was penalized just as the clock turned red and Hong Kong China launched a long and a sustainable attack that took them from the 22 deep into the home territory before it was halted by Omoro, with the penalty being followed by jubilant celebration on and off the pitch.
Has been called is holding on, and I'm sure what Kenya will do is scratch and kick for touch. And on Sunday at noon, Kenya versus Zimbabwe for position 5 and 6. The odds phase by phase. They know that.
Meanwhile, Zimbabwe narrowly beat USC 38-7 to win their first World Rugby Under-20 Trophy match since 2012 in a match played in the same venue. Zimbabwe will now face host Kenya in the Sunday's 5th place playoff, while USC will face Hong Kong China in the 7th place playoff. Kingori Mwangi for Prime Edition Sports.
And remember that the finale of this tournament is on Sunday. It's going to be live on our KBC channels. The final is going to be between Spain and Uruguay. The 3rd place playoff is going to be between Scotland and Samoa. And remember, watch them all on Y254 and KBC Channel 1. Now, moving on is that the government says it is fully committed to supporting Team Kenya's preparations ahead of the 2024 Paralympic Games. Speaking during the Sports Parliamentary Committee meeting held at the Continental House, Sports Principal Secretary Engineer Peter Tum said the ministry will ensure camping, kitting and payment of allowances will be met within the deadlines ahead of the Summer Games.
The Olympic Committee of Kenya's mass preparation for the 2024 Paralympic Games. Speaking during the Sports Parliamentary Committee meeting, NOC President Paul Terigat said they will be conducting events in different regions and also give elite athletes chances to participate in continental championships to help them meet the qualification rankings.
Very proud that we have started this, so this is something that will be ongoing. And hoping that we'll be able to make sure that we can be so that we represent our country in a positive way in a global stage.
The Olympic Committee is also planning to organize a pre-training camp in Miramas to help the Kenyan team familiarize itself with the climate. The Ministry of Sports has promised to support the 2024 Paralympic Games preparations. so as to help the team retain the medals they won in the Tokyo Olympic Games.
We have gone flat out to ensure that there are mechanisms within the ministry that can be able to identify the talents, put in place a way of nurturing them, and then ultimately, even as we reward, we have nurtured them at some point in time.
Meanwhile, the African Games are expected to be held in Accra, Ghana in March next year. A total of 22 sporting disciplines will be held, with Team Kenya set to include new sports like arm wrestling, judo, swimming, taekwondo and demonstration sports. For Prime Edition, I'm Sila Onyango.
Now moving on is that Kenya defeated Sierra Leone by 4 wickets in their second ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup qualifier, played today at the Dar es Salaam Gymkhana in Tanzania. Sierra Leone won the toss and opted to bat and were all out on 139 runs after 46.5 overs. John Bangura top scored for Sierra Leone with 51 runs, while Alucine Toure added 25. Vishal Patel was the top bowler for Kenya with 4 wickets for the loss of 31 runs in a spell that included 2 maidens. In reply, Kenya scored 141 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in 40.2 overs to secure the 4-wicket victory. Brian Likavu top scored for Kenya with 40 runs, while Stan Smith was unbeaten on 37 runs. George Sese and James Bangura took 2 wickets apiece for Sierra Leone. Kenya's next match is against Namibia tomorrow, and it will be played at the University of Dar es Salaam grounds. Now, the national women's volleyball team, the Malkia Strikers, final score of 14 that will represent Kenya in the FIVB Challenger Cup in France and the Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon has been named. Coach Luis Omar Demura, alongside his Kenyan counterpart, Paul Bitok, dropped Kenya Pipeline center player Gladys Ekaru and Prisons Kenya attacker Yvonne Wavinya before the main team left their training base in Morocco for Laval, France.
Malkia Strikers have been in training camp for the last 3 weeks at FIVB's high-performance facility in Morocco, playing 2 friendly matches against the country's national team that is also preparing for the African Nations Cup. Tacticians Luis Omar Dumaura and Paul Bitok named the final squad of 14 players ahead of FIVB Challenger Cup and the African Nations Cup.
It is something which has never happened in Kenya. We usually go to a competition before preparation of international friendly matches. So I believe that this year, this is a great year for us because we have been given all according to the training and according to the plans that we had.
I really appreciate those who arranged for this friendly and also for the people who are behind it all. I appreciate them because it's not easy, and this one will give us that energy of working hard and playing hard.
Kenya will play their FIVB Challenger Cup quarter-final match against Colombia on Thursday in France. Some of the notable inclusion in the squad are setter Rose Magoi, who makes a return after a long absence, and debutants Lois Simiyu and Juliana Namutera. Regulars Marcy Moim, Sharon Chumba, Edith Wissa and Lorraine Chebet also made the cut. Kenya Pipeline center player Gladys Ekaru and Prisons Kenya attacker Yvonne Wavinya were dropped. The FIVB Challenger Cup has brought together 8 teams, hosts France, Mexico, Vietnam, Kenya, Colombia, Sweden, Ukraine and Croatia.
And all the best to the Malkia Strikers in France. Now, the Kenya Basketball Federation has selected a team of 12 players comprising 6 men and 6 women to represent the country in the Under-23 3x3 Nations League tournament in Algeria from the 28th of July to the 3rd of August. The tournament has attracted 5 nations, namely Kenya, Morocco, Egypt, Tunisia, and hosts Algeria.
The Kenyan 3-on-3 basketball team has been training at the Kasarani Basketball Gymnasium under the watchful eye of Coach Tony Ochieng and Eunice Ouma. The team will leave the country on Wednesday to take part in the Under-23 Nation League tournament in Algeria.
We are meeting Egypt, our first game. We really worked on how we are going to play against them. Their first team really worked on how to defend all their shots.
The team is in good shape. So far, no injuries.
we've already shortlisted the 6 players who are going to take part.
Both teams are placed in Pool A alongside Egypt and host Algeria. Kenya will start their campaign against Egypt on Friday before meeting Algeria in their second match. Skipper Maggie Nerea will lead the women's team while Timothy Oyo leads the men's team.
We've worked really hard on defense, working on how to switch on screens and how to defend. So we've worked on almost all the aspects to actually aim to finish first in this tournament.
The training has been okay. The coaches have put us in different situations that we're likely to encounter. And the new players that we have, they've been a good addition. They've brought new energy to the team.
Ashley Minayo will make her debut in the ladies' team, while Brian Nzioki, Elisha Odhiambo and Jackson Waweru will make their first appearance in the men's team. The ladies' team finished first in the 2022 tournament held in Kenya, while the men finished second. The tournament has attracted 5 nations and will be played in 6 stops from 28 July to 3rd August. For Prime Edition, I'm Sila Onyango.
And across our borders, Colombia got their 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup off to a perfect start with a 2-0 victory over South Korea in Sydney, Australia. In another match, New Zealand missed a golden opportunity to edge closer to the knockout stages of the Women's World Cup as the Philippines upset them in Wellington.
Colombia got to a flying start in the Women's World Cup after defeating South Korea 2-0 in their opening match in Sydney. Catalina Uzme put the South Americans ahead from the penalty spot before teenager Linda Caicedo doubled the lead thanks to an error from Korean keeper Yoon Yong-gu.
Still going. Oh, it's stopped by the keeper.
That was enough to give Colombia their second ever win at the tournament. For South Korea, history was made as Casey Fair became the youngest ever player at a Women's World Cup. The Asian nation, who have now lost all 4 of their Women's World Cup opening matches, next face Morocco on 30th July in a must-win Group H match before Colombia plays Germany. In another match, the Philippines secured a famous victory over New Zealand in Wellington, the first by one of the 8 debutants at the tournament. Philippines' Serena Bolden headed in Sarah Eggesvik's clipped cross in the 24th minute for the country's first goal at a Women's World Cup.
And that's the sport for tonight. Thank you for being with us. My name is Daniel Wahome. Back to John Jacob Kioria.
Hello, home. Of course, that puts an end to Prime Edition. Thank you very much for keeping us company. Up next is O'Brien Kimani, Mary Ambo, and their panel of guests. The conversation is devolution. 10 years on, what do you think we have been able to achieve with the system of government? That conversation is up next. For now, have yourself a good night. God bless. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Byron Abuli.
Coffee in Ethiopia are so related. Some people say it's